The smell of fresh coffee and old books hits me as I walk into Technovision Labs 30 minutes before my presentation. Today's the day I show Dad my breakthrough, something that could change everything. The hallway echoes with my sneakers squeaking against polished floors. Glass offices line both sides, filled with engineers typing code and building robots. My stomach feels like it's doing backflips. In my backpack sits 3 years of work, formulas that could make computers think faster than lightning. Through the conference room window, I spot Dad talking to strangers in expensive suits. His voice carries through the thin walls. "The kid's been playing with toys for too long," he says, adjusting his tie. "Time to get some real money before this nonsense costs us more." A woman with sharp glasses nods. "Our company can handle the technical stuff. Kids don't understand business anyway." My heart pounds like a drum. They're talking about MY Invention, the one Dad promised to help me share with the world. I push open the glass door, and 4 adults turn to stare at me. Dad sits at the head of the table wearing his best suit. Mom's here too, checking her phone instead of looking at me. Uncle Rick, who always smells like expensive cologne, shuffles papers around. The woman with glasses, I don't know her name, has documents spread everywhere. One paper catches my eye. Quantum Processing Unit Asset Transfer, $3.5 million. She quickly covers it with her hand. "Maya," Dad says, his voice getting that tone he uses when I'm in trouble. "You're early, we're having a grown-up meeting." "About MY Quantum Processor." The words jump out before I can stop them. "The one I've been building in the garage for 3 years." Dad sighs loudly. "Sweetheart, your little computer project has cost us enough money. We need to think about what's practical." Practical? I step forward, my hands shaking. "Do you know what this machine can do?" "It can solve problems in seconds that would take regular computers years." Mom finally looks up from her phone and laughs, but not the nice kind. "Maya's garage experiments," she tells the stranger. "Always promising amazing things that never work." She waves her hand like she's shooing away a fly. I look at Uncle Rick, hoping he'll remember all those weekends he helped me build circuits. But he studies his shiny shoes like they're the most interesting things in the world. Suddenly, I remember Grandpa's words from last month before he got sick. "They don't understand vision, kiddo, but I do. That's why I set up that special account for your inventions." "Don't let them give up on your dreams," he had whispered, squeezing my hand tight. 3 years of staying up late. My friends calling me crazy for spending weekends soldering circuits instead of playing games. Dad rolling his eyes every time I asked for new parts. Mom telling neighbors about my cute little hobby at dinner parties. And now this selling my life's work for pocket change to the first person who showed up with money. "This processor has already passed every test," Dad says, his voice softer now but still dismissive. "The board says it's time to cut our losses." "What board?" I ask, my voice stronger than I feel. "The paperwork is already signed," he replies, pointing at the documents. "TechFlow Industries is being very generous considering the circumstances." The room starts spinning like a carnival ride. 3 years of work, all my calculations, all the times I proved everyone wrong when they said it was impossible. Applications I hadn't even explored, yet helping doctors find diseases faster. Making video games that feel completely real. Creating smart homes that actually understand what families need. I turn to leave, my legs feeling like jelly. At least I can walk away with some dignity left. But at the doorway, something calm washes over me like a cool breeze. Grandpa's voice echoes in my head. "Remember who really owns those patents, kiddo. Remember what I taught you about protecting your dreams." I turn back around, meeting Dad's impatient stare. "You might want to check who actually owns those patents before you sign anything else." The words hang in the air like a challenge. Dad's face changes confusion first, then worry. Mom's perfectly painted fingernails freeze above her phone. Uncle Rick finally looks up, his eyes getting wide as he starts to understand. I walk out, closing the door with a soft click that somehow sounds like thunder in my ears. The revolution has begun. The next morning, I pace around my bedroom, calling my lawyer friend Sarah's mom over and over. 3 years of building. My whole life's work. And they tried to sell it for pennies without even asking me. "I'm coming over," Sarah's mom says when she finally answers. "And I'm bringing backup." 20 minutes later, my doorbell rings. Mrs. Patterson stands there in her lawyer suit, making my old jeans and t-shirt look silly. Behind her is Dr. Kim, my computer science teacher, holding a thick folder full of papers. "You were right," Mrs. Patterson says, walking into our living room. Her heels click on our hardwood floor like a woodpecker. We found everything your dad tried to hide. Dr. Kim sets up her laptop on our kitchen counter, while Mrs. Patterson spreads documents across our coffee table like puzzle pieces. The papers form a map of betrayal, each one showing how my family tried to trick me. Your father has been blocking every grant application you submitted for 2 years, Mrs. Patterson says, tapping a thick folder with her finger. And that's not the worst part. Dr. Kim turns her laptop toward me. Look familiar. On the screen is a presentation with Mom's name at the top. It shows quantum computing algorithms exactly like the ones I created 6 months ago. She's been stealing my work. My voice sounds hollow and far away. How? Remember Kevin from the computer repair shop? Dr. Kim asks. Your mom convinced him she needed to check your computer for viruses. She's been copying your files for almost a year. I fall onto our sofa, the room tilting sideways. She presented this as her own. Won awards for it. Dr. Kim's usually kind voice turns hard. The prize money she got for breakthrough innovation is more than your entire parts budget. Mrs. Patterson hands me a folder labeled Family Email Records. Inside are printouts of messages between Mom and Dad going back years. Don't worry about Maya's patent applications, one from Dad reads. I make sure they get lost in the system. Another from Mom makes my stomach hurt. Had lunch with TechFlow executives. They're very interested in quantum computing. I told them my daughter is making good progress. Dad's reply chills me. Perfect. Maya's little project is bleeding money. When we're ready, we'll move everything to your name. Family success matters more than individual credit. My hands shake as anger builds inside me like a volcano about to explode. I think about all those late nights working alone, all the progress reports Dad never read, all the times Mom bragged about her brilliant insights while secretly stealing from me. I look up at Mrs. Patterson, who stands with her arms crossed, waiting. We're going back there, I say, standing up. Right now. 2 hours later, we march into Technovision Labs like an army. The security guard recognizes me and waves us through. In the elevator, Mrs. Patterson hands me legal papers thick as a book. Your grandfather was smarter than all of them, she says. The patents are locked tight in your name, paid for by a special trust fund. Your parents can't touch them. The conference room goes quiet when I push open the door. Dad sits in his big chair, Mom beside him in a fancy blue dress that probably costs more than my computer. Uncle Rick hunches in his usual spot, staring at his hands. 3 board members I recognize from Dad's golf photos sit along one side of the table. Maya, Dad's voice carries a warning like a storm cloud. This is a private meeting. About MY quantum processor, I say, stepping inside. Mrs. Patterson and Dr. Kim follow, closing the door firmly. So I should be here. Mom's smile gets tight like a rubber band about to snap. We were discussing business restructuring, nothing that concerns children. You mean theft? Dr. Kim interrupts, placing a flash drive on the table like a chess piece. Of technology that doesn't belong to either of you. Mrs. Patterson steps forward, her presence filling the room even though she's not very tall. I've prepared documentation showing systematic intellectual property theft, fraudulent representation of research, and misuse of trust funds. She slides papers to each board member. Maya's patents are independently owned through the Richardson Family Trust. Any attempt to sell them to TechFlow Industries is basically stealing. The color drains from Mom's face as she grabs a copy, reading fast like her life depends on it. You always were dramatic, Maya, Dad says, though worry creeps into his voice like water through a crack. This is business, not personal. Stealing my work is personal, I reply, surprised my voice sounds so steady. Just like blocking my applications while Mom paraded my inventions as her own. Mom slams her hand on the table like a judge with a gavel. Innovation doesn't count unless you can make it profitable. You've always been happy playing in your garage while I built real relationships, made things happen. You mean taking credit for other people's work. Dr. Kim projects emails on the wall screen. Mom's messages to Kevin, instructions for accessing my computer, copies of my research files being transferred. One board member, an older lady with silver hair, examines the documents with a frown getting deeper by the second. Robert, if these accusations are true. They're not, Dad interrupts, standing up like a giant. His glare locks on mine, cold anger radiating like heat from a fire. Maya has always had too much imagination, playing with toys while the rest of us run a real business. He towers over the table, his gaze like ice. You'll never work in this industry again. I built your reputation. I can destroy it. The words hang between us like a sword ready to fall. 2 years ago, they would have crushed me like a bug. Today, they make me stronger. The patents are an MY name, I say quietly. Paid for by Grandpa's trust fund. He saw what you couldn't or wouldn't see. The conference room falls silent like a library at midnight. Even Mom stops shuffling through papers, her face like a mask hiding her thoughts. The silver-haired board member stands up. I think we need an emergency meeting tomorrow morning. All board members present. Complete financial transparency. She looks straight at Dad with laser eyes. No exceptions. Dad's face turns red like a tomato as he realizes he's not in control anymore. This meeting is over until tomorrow, he announces through gritted teeth. I gather my backpack, feeling every eye in the room following me like searchlights. As I reach the door, Mom's voice cuts through the silence like a knife. Family loyalty used to mean something to you, Maya. Her words drip poison. Grandpa would be disappointed. I pause, hand on the doorknob. No, Mom. Grandpa knew exactly who you were. That's why he left the trust fund to me. The door closes behind us with a soft click, but it sounds like thunder in my ears. In the hallway, Mrs. Patterson squeezes my shoulder. First battle won, she whispers, but tomorrow's the real war. I nod, feeling the weight of what's coming settle on my shoulders like a heavy backpack. This isn't just about my processor anymore. It's about truth, justice, and standing up for what's right. The revolution has only just begun. The email notification pings on my phone as I stare at my bedroom ceiling, still processing everything that happened 6 hours ago. I force myself to look at the screen, already knowing it won't be good news. Technovision Labs addresses concerns about leadership in Advanced Computing Division. The press release quotes Dad extensively about his deep concern for Maya's well-being and recent unstable behavior. Mom appears in paragraph 3, expressing heartbreak over family issues affecting business decisions. The message is clear. I'm crazy, unreliable, dangerous to the company's future. I throw my phone across the room where it bounces off my Star Wars pillow. My bedroom suddenly feels like a prison cell's shelves overflowing with computer programming books, desk buried under circuit boards and cables, dresser top covered with processors I brought home to test after school. My phone buzzes again from the floor. Unknown number. Your lab access has been terminated, Ms. Richardson. The security manager's voice sounds robotic. Your team members have been placed on temporary leave pending investigation. My team, the words come out strangled like I'm choking. 5 brilliant high school students whose futures now hang by thin threads because of me. I'm sorry, director's orders. He hangs up before I can say anything back. I sit perfectly still as golden afternoon sunlight streams through blinds I haven't touched in days. A text from Dr. Kim flashes. Don't panic, trust me. 3 sharp knocks on my bedroom door make me jump. Through the peephole, I see 5 teenagers crowded in our hallway, arms full of cardboard boxes and backpacks. Maya, open up. Dr. Kim's familiar voice sounds urgent but steady. I unlock the door to find my entire robotics club standing there. Alex, Zoe, Marcus, Riley, and Sam. Their faces show determination instead of the defeat I expected. You've got maybe 15 minutes before security realizes we borrowed these from the lab, Alex says, pushing past me with what looks like a portable storage unit. What is all this? I ask, amazed by how they work together like a perfectly oiled machine as they unpack equipment, external drives, and stacks of notebooks. Zoe, our coding specialist, grins like she knows a secret. We saw this coming 2 months ago when your mom started asking weird specific questions about our encryption methods. You knew. My voice cracks like thin ice. We didn't know exactly what they planned, Dr. Kim explains, connecting a laptop to an external drive. But we've worked with your family long enough to recognize when trouble's brewing. Marcus, usually our quietest member, speaks up. We've been backing up everything. Off-site, 3 copies of everything. And working nights at my house, adds Riley, pushing up her glasses, which, no offense, has way better snacks than the lab. Sam pulls a flash drive from her pocket and holds it up like a trophy. But this is the real treasure. Breakthrough progress on the quantum processor design. 2 weeks of work they don't even know exists. A knock on my bedroom door freezes everyone like a pause button. Dr. Kim motions for silence as I creep to the peephole. Uncle Rick stands alone in the hallway, looking both ways like he's in a spy movie. I open the door just enough to block his view of my room. What do you want? 5 minutes. His voice lacks its usual smooth confidence. Please. I step into the hallway, pulling the door closed behind me. Make it quick. Uncle Rick runs his hand through his thinning hair like he's nervous. I knew, he admits, unable to look me in the eye. About the sale, about your mom stealing your research notes, about the plan to discredit you that started this morning. The hallway seems to shrink as blood rushes to my head like a tidal wave. And you did nothing. I was a coward. His confession hangs between us like a heavy cloud. But I'm done being afraid. He pulls a folder from inside his jacket like a magician. Your mom's department hasn't produced original research in years. It's all acquisition and rebranding of other people's work. These financial records prove it. I take the folder without opening it, my hands trembling. Why now? Uncle Rick finally meets my gaze. Your dad built an empire with force and fear, but you could actually change the world. His eyes flick to my door. Your team turned down TechFlow's offers this morning. Every single one. $200,000 each to abandon ship. And they all said no. Something warm spreads through my chest, pushing against the cold anger that's been my companion since this morning. Your dad doesn't understand loyalty he can't buy, Uncle Rick says. That makes you dangerous to him. After Uncle Rick leaves, I return to find my team huddled around Dr. Kim's laptop, faces glowing from scrolling code like they're around a campfire. Henderson and Park are still at the main lab, Dr. Kim explains, playing along to feed us inside information. The PR attack is just the beginning, I tell them, sinking into my desk chair. They'll come after all of you next. Your grades, your college applications, your futures. They already tried, Sam says, sliding her phone across my desk. The screen shows text messages from recruiters offering fresh starts away from the Richardson situation. Riley snorts like it's funny. TechFlow offered me a full scholarship and guaranteed internship. I told them I don't work for thieves. Zoe nods firmly. Your grandfather helped fund my robotics camp last summer. Loyalty isn't just about money. The mention of Grandpa sends me to my bookshelf where I keep his letters between my coding manuals. Inside a worn leather folder, among birthday cards and graduation notes, I find the letter I half remembered written 3 weeks before he died. My hands tremble as I read his shaky handwriting. The trust amendment is filed with Patterson Law. If Robert ever tries to steal your work, Section 12 automatically gives you voting control. He never reads the fine print, kiddo. That's always been his weakness. I work through the night, studying company documents with new understanding while my team takes turns sleeping on my floor in bean bag chairs. Near dawn, I find it's Section 12, Article 5, Paragraph 3, the clause that changes everything. Grandpa knew this day might come, I whisper to his photo on my desk as morning light creeps through my blinds. My phone buzzes repeatedly, then again, and again. The first message is from the patent office, quantum processor algorithm officially approved. The second, National Innovation Foundation breakthrough designation confirmed. The third message makes me sit up straight, a smile spreading across my tired face. Initial licensing interest starting at $4.2 billion. I look around at my sleeping friends, at the boxes of research they rescued, at Uncle Rick's folder of evidence, at Grandpa's letters spread across my desk. They have no idea what's coming for them. The next morning, the conference room feels electric today. 11 members of the Technovision Labs board sit in leather chairs around the massive glass table, expressions ranging from curious to worried. The emergency meeting called for 8 a.m. sharp has everyone nervous. I stand in the hallway, watching through the window as Dad checks his expensive watch for the 4th time in 10 minutes. Mrs. Patterson squeezes my arm like she's giving me courage. Ready? I smooth my nice black pants and button-up shirt, not my usual jeans and t-shirt, but something with enough authority to make a statement. I've been ready for 3 years. We enter flanked by my legal team carrying briefcases that look like they mean business. The room falls silent like someone turned off a radio. Dad rises from his chair at the head of the table, face turning red. This is a closed board meeting, he announces, voice sharp as broken glass. Maya, you and your babysitters need to leave immediately. Before I can respond, Dorothy Chen, the silver-haired board chair and Grandpa's oldest business partner, taps her pen. Robert, I called this emergency meeting because several board members have serious concerns about yesterday's attempted sale. She nods toward me. I think we should hear what Dr. Richardson has to say. Dr. Richardson, the formal use of my title makes Mom's perfectly shaped eyebrows shoot up like rockets. I take my position at the presentation screen while my team distributes folders to each board member. The weight of 11 pairs of eyes bears down on me, but for once I don't feel small or young. Thank you for listening, I begin confidently. This is ridiculous, Mom interrupts, standing up so fast her chair rolls backward. Her voice gets higher with each word. My daughter is trying to steal research funded by this company. She's been emotionally unstable since her grandfather died. And now she's attempting to sabotage a legitimate business transaction. Dad nods like a bobblehead doll. I move to end this meeting and handle this family issue privately. Second, calls out Vernon Walsh, Dad's golfing buddy and reliable supporter. I remain perfectly calm, waiting like a cat watching a mouse. Dorothy glances at the folder in front of her, then shakes her head firmly. Motion denied. Please continue, Dr. Richardson. Mom slams her palm on the table like she's hitting a drum. She has no right to. The patents for the quantum processing algorithm are registered in MY name, I say, my voice steady as a rock. They were funded entirely by Grandpa's independent research trust, not Technovision Labs. The documentation is in your folders, Section 1. The sound of turning pages fills the room like leaves rustling. Uncle Rick, sitting halfway down the table, studies the papers carefully, refusing to meet Dad's angry stares. Furthermore, I continue, clicking to the next slide, the National Innovation Foundation has officially designated our breakthrough as technology of critical importance. I pause, letting the prestigious seal on screen sink in. Initial bidding for licensing rights starts at $4.2 billion, not the $3.5 million in the TechFlow contract you tried to execute yesterday. A collective gasp sweeps through the room like wind. Vernon Walsh's mouth hangs open like a fish. Dorothy's eyes widen behind her glasses like she's seeing magic. That's impossible, Dad sputters. No teenage invention is worth. The Department of Defense disagrees, Mrs. Patterson interjects smoothly, directing the board to Section 3. As does MIT's Computer Science Department and 12 major technology corporations who have already submitted preliminary bids. Mom's face drains of color like water going down a drain, her knuckles white against the dark table. This is all lies, she says, but her voice shakes. She's always been jealous of my achievements. No lies here, I reply, clicking to the next slide. But speaking of achievements, the FBI's Cybercrimes Unit has some interesting questions about your department's research claims over the past 2 years. The forensic investigation report is in Section 4. I walk slowly to the center of the room where I can see each face clearly like I'm on a stage. But there's something else you should know. Section 5 contains a clause from Technovision's founding charter, inserted by my grandfather and reinforced before his death. Board members flip frantically to the marked section like they're looking for buried treasure. In the event of attempted intellectual property theft, voting control automatically shifts to the person whose IP was threatened. I let my gaze rest on Dad like a spotlight. As of yesterday, when you tried to force this sale, I became the controlling shareholder of Technovision Labs. The room erupts like a volcano. Questions fire from all directions, but amazingly, they're directed at me instead of Dad. For the first time in my life, I see genuine fear in my father's eyes. He pushes back his chair and stands like a giant ready for battle. This meeting is over. My lawyers will. The meeting isn't finished yet, Dad, I say, the word Dad feeling strange in this business setting. Please sit down. These simple words freeze him mid-step like he's been turned to stone. The conference room falls silent as the power shift becomes real and visible. For maybe the first time in decades, Robert Richardson hesitates, then slowly lowers himself back into his chair like he's been defeated. Dorothy taps her pen gently like a judge calling for order. I believe the board has several questions for our new majority shareholder. I nod, keeping my composure despite my heart thundering like a drum in my chest. The revolution isn't just beginning anymore. It's already won. The conference room atmosphere is completely different today. My nameplate gleams at the head of the glass table where Dad sat for 15 years. 2 weeks into my leadership, and the chair still feels huge beneath me, like I'm sitting in something made for grown-ups. Board members file in with careful smiles, their eyes darting between me and the empty seats where Mom and Dad will sit. Uncle Rick enters quietly, nodding as he takes his place, his usual hunched posture straighter than I've ever seen. When Dad and Mom enter, the temperature drops like winter arrived early. Mom's power suit burns bright red like a warning signal. Dad wears his most expensive outfit, navy blue, with thin stripes that probably cost more than most families spend on groceries for a month. Maya, Dad's voice carries none of the respect the others show me. He sits without waiting for permission, Mom following like his shadow. This meeting will now come to order, I announce, surprised at how confident I sound. Before I can continue, Dad slides a folder across the table like he's dealing cards. A proposal for family healing, for the good of the company. Mom leans forward like a snake ready to strike. The media would have a field day with a daughter's hostile takeover story. Think about the headlines. Family betrayal at Technovision. Stock prices won't survive if this gets messy. Their lawyer, a heavyset man named Richard Stone, produces a document with practiced efficiency. A cease and desist regarding your use of Richardson family assets. The family name is trademarked, and your grandfather's trust doesn't override certain corporate regulations. The old Maya would have shrunk under this attack like a flower in winter. The girl who spent 3 years being dismissed as Dad's quirky daughter playing with computers in the garage. But that girl doesn't exist anymore. Before we discuss these issues, I say, tapping my tablet screen, I'd like to introduce the board to Project Phoenix. The wall screen lights up with images of a gleaming research facility I've kept secret for 18 months. Funded by Grandpa's trust and built in converted warehouse space across town. While you were busy undermining my work, I continue, swiping through slides showing state-of-the-art laboratories. My team achieved quantum computing that maintains stability for 95 minutes. We've applied this technology to medical diagnostic algorithms that have already identified 5 new treatment pathways for rare diseases. Dad's face stays blank, but a muscle twitches in his jaw like he's grinding his teeth. Additionally, our environmental modeling system has attracted significant government attention. I pause, letting the tension build like a drum roll. The EPA has awarded us contracts totaling $8 billion. Mom's pen drops to the table with a clatter. Uncle Rick straightens completely, his eyes wide as dinner plates. Technovision stock has risen 85% since news of my patents broke 2 weeks ago. I continue like I'm reading the weather. Any questions? The silence stretches until Dorothy Chen, Grandpa's old business partner and longest-serving board member, speaks. I think we'd all like to hear more about these developments, Maya. I nod to Mrs. Patterson, who distributes tablets to each board member like she's dealing a winning hand. These contain the results of a forensic audit of the innovation department for the past 4 years. Mom's face drains of color as she scrolls through the document like she's reading her own doom. You'll notice that Mom's department hasn't produced original research since 2021. What they have produced is a systematic pattern of fraud, including falsified test results and stolen research from external sources. This is insane, Mom sputters, but her protest sounds weak as water. Page 15 details Dad's secret negotiations with overseas investors to sell controlling interest in Technovision to foreign companies without board approval. Dad slams his fist on the table like a judge's gavel. You've crossed the line, Maya. The final section, I continue as if he's just background noise, shows financial performance across all departments. My research division is the only consistently profitable area, despite having the smallest budget allocation. The silence that follows feels like the calm before a storm. What happens now? Asks Harold Kim, Dad's longtime golf partner and usual ally. I straighten my simple blazer like armor. Robert Richardson will transition to chairman emeritus, a ceremonial position with no operational authority. Dad stands up, his face red as a fire engine. You can't do this to me. You taught me that business isn't personal, Dad. Consider this a lesson in your own philosophy. I nod to security waiting by the door like guards. Mom's employment is terminated effective immediately. Criminal charges regarding research fraud are pending with federal authorities. Mom jumps to her feet, knocking her chair backward like she's been electrocuted. You think you can destroy me? Her voice rises to almost a scream. I'll burn this company to ashes before I let you win. As security escorts her out, her threats echo down the hallway like thunder. You're destroying the Richardson legacy. You'll regret this. I turn to Uncle Rick, who looks like he's holding his breath. The CFO position remains yours with 6-month supervision under an independent oversight committee. Relief washes over his face like sunrise. Thank you, Maya. I won't disappoint you. Dorothy Chen will serve as interim COO during our transition period. I continue professionally. All in favor of approving this restructuring plan. One by one, hands rise like flowers blooming. Even Harold Kim, after a long moment's hesitation, raises his hand slowly. Dad remains standing, his hand firmly at his side like a statue, but it doesn't matter anymore. The vote is unanimous without him. As the meeting ends, Mrs. Patterson touches my shoulder gently. A reporter from Tech Weekly is waiting for a statement. In the lobby, camera lights flash as I approach the podium like a rock star. The journalist from Tech Weekly steps forward with her microphone. Dr. Richardson, what happens to Technovision Labs now? The question hangs in the air as I think about the weight of legacy, the responsibility of power, and the future stretching before me like an open road. The company that bears my name but never valued my vision. The family that shares my blood but rarely my dreams. Dad watches from the conference room doorway, his face unreadable like a locked book. For the first time in my life, I don't look to him for approval. The scent of fresh paint and new beginnings greets me as I guide a group of excited young inventors through the transparent corridors of what was once Technovision's fortress-like headquarters. 4 months have transformed the space completely. Gone are the heavy wooden doors and closed offices, replaced by glass walls and open spaces where young minds freely share ideas. Our quantum processing lab is through here, I explain, adjusting my comfortable navy blazer paired with dark jeans. No designer labels, just quiet confidence. Every workstation connects directly to our central computing network. A young boy with bright eyes raises his hand excitedly. Dr. Richardson, is it true your team achieved stability for over 100 minutes now? I smile wide. 107 minutes and counting, and please call me Maya. Later, I stand in the conference room where my life changed forever. The glass table that once held papers meant to steal my dreams now displays our newest patents. Quantum-based environmental sensors with 98% accuracy in predicting climate changes. The board members listen with genuine amazement, so different from the dismissive faces of 4 months ago. The field tests have exceeded every expectation, I explain, watching their expressions shift from interest to pure awe. Targeted quantum analysis allows us to detect environmental threats 2 years earlier than conventional methods. When the applause dies down, the conference room door opens slowly. My father stands hesitantly in the doorway, notably missing his usual expensive suit and power tie. His simple gray sweater makes him look smaller, more human than I've ever seen. I didn't mean to interrupt, he says softly, his voice lacking its usual commanding tone. You're not interrupting, I assure him as the meeting concludes and board members file out. When we're alone, I slide a folder across the table toward him. I'd like you to consider heading the Richardson Educational Foundation. His fingers tremble slightly as he opens it, reading through pages of educational programs for underprivileged kids interested in science and technology. After everything that happened with Mom and the company, he starts, his voice barely above a whisper. Grandpa would have wanted healing where possible, I say, thinking of all the bridges that can never be rebuilt, but hoping some can be repaired. Even if some relationships can't be completely fixed. The afternoon finds me celebrating with my original robotics club, now directors of their own research divisions. Dr. Kim raises a glass of sparkling cider, her loyalty throughout our darkest days never forgotten. To Maya, who saw what the rest of us could only dream about. Uncle Rick stands nearby, still proving himself as the reformed CFO, but making genuine progress every day. The change in him since choosing honesty over Dad's corruption remains a daily miracle. Before leaving, I stop by my office where a young programmer named Tyler waits nervously with code spread across my desk. Everyone says my approach is too experimental, he confesses, shoulders hunched with familiar self-doubt. I recognize myself in his uncertainty from all those years ago. Never let anyone tell you your ideas are too wild, I tell him, thinking of all the times my own vision was called impossible. The quiet ones who work in garages and bedrooms are usually the ones changing the world. That evening, I hang Grandpa's portrait beside the framed first patent that started everything. The small brass nameplate beneath reads, "Never underestimate the quiet ones. They're usually the ones building the future." At my desk, I review plans for our new Youth Innovation Campus when a news alert flashes across my computer screen. Technovision Labs' value has quadrupled since the leadership change. I smile, close my laptop, and check the clock. 6 p.m. For the first time in years, I'm leaving at a reasonable hour to have dinner with friends my own age. The revolution isn't just about quantum computing. It's about proving that age doesn't determine ability, that families can heal, and that sometimes the biggest changes come from the smallest voices. Who's ready for what's next?